Welcome to Built in Cincy. I'm your host, Marcus Celestin, and today's guest is a father of four. He's built a business, sold a business, he's done the corporate track, and is back to building another business. Welcome to Built in Cincy, Jerod Martin.
Thanks for having me on, Marcus.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm excited to talk to you. You've got some good nuggets of information that I'm hoping people can benefit from. Let's start off. Just tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I've been married. It will be 17 years this year of marriage to my wife. 4 kids, 14 down to 6, 3 girls and a boy. So our lives are busy from fall musical currently right now to soccer with the other 3, and then trying to build this business we're currently launched a couple months ago.
Yeah, tell me about the business you're building now.
Yeah, so it's a franchise and it's called Recoat Revolution. We are of East Cincinnati. So it's the flooring industry has not been innovated on in over 100 years, right? It's the traditional model of you come into a wood floor, you sand, refinish, and you kind of go from there. So this brand, what they did was they developed a process that we can come in and we can refinish a wood floor in one day. So we can come and do that, but because of our process, it can also be done on engineered hardwood, antique hardwood, hand cut hardwood, because we're not sanding. So we're not taking away any character. We're just bringing the life back to the floors. But we can also do it on LVP, LVT, and any hard surface floor inside we can take care of. So yeah.
Were you actively looking for a franchise, or did this one kind of fall in your lap?
Yeah. So unique thing, because of my past and building something from scratch, and we can go into all the details of what that looked like. I kind of had a negative perception towards franchises at the time. Felt like it was cheating.
Yeah.
It wasn't a true startup, in that sense, which is funny because you look at like the NFL, right? Or any major sports team, they are a franchise.
Yeah.
But they make a lot of money, so it's okay. So in this, I wasn't necessarily looking for a franchise. I was trying to come up with ideas, even when I was still in a more of a corporate role, and just nothing was sticking, nothing that I was, passionate about or excited about. And a friend said, "Hey, why don't I introduce you to a franchise consultant?" I thought, I can have a conversation.
Yeah.
And it was a great process. He walked me through an assessment to figure out kind of the industries I'd be interested in and some opportunities, and kind of matched me up with 5 different franchises. And that's how I kind of landed on this one. And it really kind of came down to not just the franchise, but the leadership and the family who founded it out of St. Louis.
Yeah.
A lot of similarities between our families and, belief systems and things like that. So that's how I kind of landed in a franchise.
Yeah, it's interesting because I own a franchise as well. So Pink's Windows of Pink's Windows Cincinnati, and
which is funny. I started seeing them about a year ago.
Yeah.
And I connected with you on LinkedIn, and I watched your journey as you kind of launched. But I always thought, man, their branding is awesome.
Yeah.
It's just a cool concept.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was never interested in franchises. I always thought McDonald's, Subway, don't have enough money to buy some of these things, or, just not really interested in it.
Yeah.
I kind of sympathize with the cheating piece, even though I never built a business. So I don't know, I didn't know the level of work. But after deciding to go down the path of a franchise, I'm like, you're really hitting fast forward on so many things that I'm like, oh my gosh, if I had to build out the website, do all the marketing that we have teams to do, I mean, you pay for it, but figuring out the expense that would cost me so much money just trying to figure out all these things that they just do for you.
Yeah. And I always like to say it's like a business in a box.
Yeah.
So if if you're launching a business from scratch, the amount of work, time, figuring things out, the amount of information I had to go through the first time around when we were doing that, and what we had to build out just takes time, and who you deal with and money. Yeah. And this was, you could just launch it and go. Yeah. And there was something, that's what I was looking for. I just wanted to run and kind of just take off.
Yeah, because people will say things like, well, what about the royalties? And I'm like, well, that's what's getting you to fast forward, right? I mean, you're paying the royalties because you're going to get there a lot faster than if you were doing it on your own. And I would have just I'd still be in, where I was in month 1 with the franchise if I had tried to do it on my own.
Yeah. I still remember the day when all the equipment showed up on a 6.5 foot tall pallet, and I was breaking it down, and I just thought, what? I don't even know what I'm going to use this thing for. And like, that was over and over again. I was texting the family and went, hey, what is this? And they said, just wait till training. You'll be all right. And I got on a call with the guy who created the whole process, Steve. I said, man, Steve, there are just things, I don't even know what I'm going to use this for. And he goes, that's 25 years of my mistakes and learning that you're just getting handed to you. Yeah. And I was like, that's a great way to explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what made you land on Recoat after going through kind of the process of determining if that's the right one?
It was funny because when when the franchise consultant I work with, his name is Brady, when he said Recoat Revolution is a flooring, I went, nope, not for me. That's not what I want to do. And he started talking about it. And then I got on a call with the person that kind of connected us to the actual franchise itself. And the way he explained, kind of, you start with a floor, and you're bringing the beauty back to it. And there was this redemption aspect that I was kind of longing for. For us as a family, we wanted to do something that actually mattered for people and made a difference in their life. There's just so many things out there, just different things for us that as I looked at it, my wife and I would have conversations, and it would be like, I just feel like you're just kind of selling something, but not anything that really matters. And so we wanted something that would make a difference, that could really change someone's life in the sense of, I know it's still flooring, but it makes a difference when you walk into a home and your floors look great again, especially especially if you installed them or you built your home, bringing back the life to those floors that have just been worn down. So the way you explain the whole redemption aspect of just seeing a floor go from, man, we got to replace it, to, oh, I don't have to replace it. I don't have to send this wood or this LVP off to a dumpster and just be trash. I can make it look great again. There was something to that for us that we said, okay. And then it was getting on a call with the founder and CEO and just hearing her story and how, an employee from a previous role she was in followed her to become her director of training, and how her husband is still innovating on the process and different opportunities within it. And then 2 of the 4 kids are now in the business, and they're building something for their family. That spoke to me, where it was like, it's not just a leadership team that was put in place where they're trying to make a lot of money. It's, hey, we want to see people succeed. And this is such a revolutionary process that hasn't been around, that we have developed, that we want people to experience that all over the country. And there was just something to that where it's like, okay, I'm not selling snake oil. I'm not selling something where, like, does it really matter? And just being able to engage with people on a regular basis, for me, that's what kind of helped us land on Recoat Revolution.
Yeah. Well, I think that's important to believe in what you're selling, because if you don't believe in it, I mean, it's hard enough when you really believe in it to sell something for folks. But if you don't believe in it, I mean, I don't know how you would make that, make it successful.
Yeah. Yeah. And just the highs and lows, right?
Yeah.
You've experienced this over the last year or so of doing pinks.
Yeah.
That was the first day I talked with the franchise consultant. One of the things he said, hey, franchise, the process of that, it's a roller coaster of emotions. One day you're like, this is great. Another day you're like, what are we doing with our lives? And it truly was that for me, where some days it was like, this is the greatest thing, just even go through the process. And it was a good reminder as well, because I was like, oh yeah, I've done this before. I remember those highs and lows. One day, massive customer order comes in, things are great. Another day, a co-packer is calling you, and the labels you sent them are all, 50% are failing. Yeah. And you're having a hard day. So it's that riding that high and low. And that's where, has been really good for us along the way, just kind of staying even keeled. Like, it's not the end of the world.
How do you navigate that? Because I struggle with that all the time. Because there's some days where I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to $1 billion of window cleaning. And then there are days where it's like, oh my gosh, this is
no
quite
one
the
called
low.
us today.
Yeah, no one called us.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, and that's always been something for me, where anxiety, stress, just I want to look so in the future and go, okay, how do we hit that number? That I get lost in the day to day, in the sense of just stressed and frustrated and like, how are we even going to get there in 6 months? Yeah. To having that big picture outlook, but remembering I'm living in today. Yeah. And so what can I control today? What can I, for us, as a follower of Christ, that's big for me to go, okay, God, you have brought, every single part of this journey, that was the other side. In the waiting, I just remember praying and spending time in the Bible, and just the same words kept coming over and over, was be still. From Psalm 46. And that was a struggle for me. I don't like to be still. And I'm not saying I'm like the hardest worker ever. I will find things to do, to be busy, to feel like I'm pushing the ball down the field. And it doesn't even matter because I checked something off a box. It makes me feel better. And even during that process, it was a Thursday. And I told my wife, I said, hey, I just keep hearing be still from God. Just be still. She's like, okay. So then that next Monday, I spent all day in the office at home. I don't remember what I was doing something that I felt like I was pushing something. I was trying to create something. I was trying to come up with ideas. Tuesday morning comes, and my wife comes down. She's like, what are you doing down here? I'm like, I'm trying to come up with something. She's like, why? And I was like, well, because I don't have any meetings this week. I don't have any coffee appointments set up, no lunches, no breakfast, nothing. And she goes, don't you think it's God setting this up where the week after you hear from him, be still, he's just cleared your calendar, so you have to be still and you can't do anything on your own. And it was like, oh, you're right. And there was just this relief for me. And so for us, it's how do I continue to trust God through this process? Because then it was shortly after that I got connected with the franchise consultant. And it was just one thing after another just kind of worked and led us to this point. So going, okay, God, you're faithful. If you brought me to this point, why are you going to fail me now? And it's not this prosperity mindset that he's going to make us the wealthiest people. Nothing like that. It's more of like, all right, what do you have for me today? How do we continue to live in your kingdom and benefit people and help other people's lives be better? And so how do we do that every single day? So it's not easy. Every morning, you know, we're going on a job tomorrow, and I have a brand new guy helping me tomorrow who's part-time, because another guy he had to step out for a couple months due to a different business. And so I have this new guy, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to. And my wife turned to me, she goes, why are you so stressed? Like, this is gonna be a regular routine where you're gonna be training. I'm like, I know, but it's just the mindset. I had a good routine with this other guy, and now it's a brand new process where I'm stepping in. So it's just the reminder of, all right, just slow down. Just remember where you're at today and just trust the process. So that's been helpful for me. It doesn't mean I'm perfect at it. I can struggle. You know, I can wake up at 4 a.m. going, oh no, what about I didn't send that email. I got to do that. So it's just a work. It's every single day.
I spent a decade in corporate America. So when you talk about, you know, crossing things off a to-do list that feel good, but you're not really like moving the ball down the field, I feel like that was the quickest thing I learned when starting a business is those things do not matter. Yeah. If you are not out there getting sales, you know, delivering the work that you've sold, it doesn't matter. Everything has to work towards those few things, or you're wasting your time. You're just doing a feel-good exercise, and pretty quickly it doesn't feel that great anymore.
Well, and I've learned too, the amount of work in corporate America that really doesn't matter is incredible. The amount of spending that businesses and companies do for employees, right? Which I'm thankful for employees. I'm thankful for corporate America, and we benefited from it as well. But just like people are doing work to do work. Yeah. You know, I was in a text thread, or I am in a text thread with 3 other guys, and it was a Friday, and they all were talking about, oh, I've been working on this PowerPoint all day to show my boss why we're doing something wrong. And I was just like, that seems terrible. Like, that just like sounds like the biggest waste of a day. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we're doing a few jobs next week, you know, type situation. And like, I'm moving something forward now. You know, those guys are very successful, and they're having a great career, but I just thought that's not for me. I don't want to do that.
It's funny when your eyes open to that a bit and you start to see how important it is. I mean, you were saying a minute ago, you know, look at what you're doing over a period of time, not like that day. Yeah. And I think I need to zoom out sometimes, because it's really easy when it's just like thing after thing after thing one day and you're just like feeling down. But then I zoom out and I'm like, well, every month we've made more money. Yeah. Every month we've served more customers. Every month we have more recurring business. And it's like, okay, if I zoom out for a minute, it's getting better. You know, we're doing it.
It is.
But in the moment, it doesn't feel that way.
No. You know, we're getting ready. Tomorrow will be the end of month 2 for us. And, you know, month 2 is hard, you know, and in some different ways or whatever. And then I get to the end and I'm like, oh, we're increasing our revenue from month 1. And it's like, okay, I know I won't probably sustain that type of growth, you know, month after month after month. It's forever, forever. But okay, like let's look at, that's where sometimes looking at the big picture, you know, more than just the daily is really helpful, because it goes, okay, just calm down, just relax a little bit, and just every day do the next thing you need to do, and you'll be all right.
So you've built something before, exited. Now you're building something again. What made you want to go through the grind of building something again?
Yeah, I like change. I have habits. I like to do certain things, but I can get bored, which probably says something about me as well. But for me, it was, I wanted to build something for our family. You know, the 2 guys who co-founded the business I was in just recently before this, they had built something for 25 years, and God bless them, they had done very well. And it was awesome and good for them. Like, I love the fact they made a lot of money doing it. Yeah. And I just thought, man, I'm trading time for money, and I'm helping them get richer, which is great. I don't care. Like, that's that, they built it, they deserve it. But I want to do that for me, and I want to build something that my kids, if they want to get involved in down the road, could. And for us, it was something like, how do we come into a business that is home service based, right? But also just, I have a lot of friends in AI, and they're incorporating AI. And I just thought, man, what are the businesses that aren't going to be really hugely impacted by AI? I mean, I think everything's going to be impacted by AI, but unless you have robots that are going to be coming in and doing the work, which we're pretty far out, we're pretty safe in that way. So for me, it was, how do we build something for our family long term that can impact them and my grandkids, and they can come in and step in. So that's where it was like, okay, the only way to really do that is to build something. And so let's sacrifice, let's do the hard work now so we can get something where our family can benefit from long term. So when I picked up our first van, or when I was picking it out, my 10-year-old son was coming with me.
Nice.
And I can remember having the conversation with him. We're driving down to a dealership, and I said, Liam, why are you coming with me? He goes, to see a van? I said, well, yes, but also I want you to understand that one day if you're running this business, that, hey, if you need a new van for another crew because you're growing the business, it's not just going to magically appear. You got to go find it. You got to go negotiate that vehicle. You got to buy it. Then you got to get it wrapped and you got to get it upfitted. And he's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But it was just that. It's just along the way, how do I incorporate them in just to understand, like, hey, things just don't happen, right? Kids sometimes get handed businesses down the road, and it's just they never will have dealt with some of those things to get the business going or moving, which is great, good for them. But it gives, for me right now, I'm doing a lot of the work, and I bring some along with me because I want to understand every time we get in on a floor, something's different. Yeah, it's not always the same. And when we have multiple crews down the road out there and they call me, I'll have some understanding of, hey, this is what you need to do. Just slow down. It's not the end of the world. You're gonna be all right. You didn't make a mistake, but this is how you can walk through it, and this is how you can make it. So that's what kind of led me down this path of let's do this.
Yeah, I love including the kids. So my oldest is 4. Then I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-month-old. So the 2 and 4-month-old, I try to keep them away from work, not touching too much of our equipment and things like that. Don't want to break it or anything. But, your kids are at ages where you can kind of explain some of this. Of what are you doing? Hey, this is why dad might be working a lot right now. And so how do you navigate some of that? How do you communicate those things to your kids?
I just try to bring them into that. Just they understand. They're like, oh, you're going to do an estimate. Okay. Technology is pretty incredible today where when we're getting the square footage of a space, number one, we always pull out anything we don't touch. So if there's an island in the kitchen, we're not going to charge you for that because we're not touching it. We're not fixing it, correcting it, or making it look better. But we use an app. And so I literally walk the baseboards and I'm putting these flags down. It gives me the square footage. And so the first time I ever did when I came home and there was a tape measure sitting there and Liam goes, Dad, why didn't you take your tape measure? How'd you measure the floors? I said, oh, we use an app. Like we go around. I kind of showed him. He's like, oh, that's crazy. And it's just talking to them about, hey, this is what we do. I mean, I was trying to use some examples of some LVP that we had to show what type of sheen we could have on a floor. And so even my wife, I brought her out into the garage and I did the whole process. And it was a quick because it was real small, but went through the whole process to do it. My wife was like, that's really fascinating. Like I had no idea what you did or whatever. And so just giving them the understanding of, hey, this is what it looks like to do it. Just kind of including them in on conversations at times that they can be had, or, hey, a customer called back because something happened here and I gotta address it. I gotta deal with it. And so just not keeping them away from anything, but just not being afraid to also have those conversations in front of them is really helpful.
It's really cool to see the intention that you approach with it. Cause my 4-year-old would be like, what are you doing? Are you doing quotes? You doing quotes? When she sees me whip out the laptop at night, you doing quotes? Or, my kids have little squeegees and sponges and stuff. And they're really dirty in the windows, but they think it's fun, like pretending like they're cleaning windows too. So it's nice. Like they're watching so much of what we're doing. So I think it's so cool how you're intentional about it. And it's like, an opportunity for me to take out of this of like, when I go home with my kids to be like, hey, this is what daddy's doing. This is why he's doing it. Cause window washing is pretty simple for little kids to understand, hey, we're cleaning a window here. So seeing how I can be far more intentional about this is what daddy's doing. This is why he's doing it. So this could be yours someday.
Yeah. Yeah, currently, we have a space where we keep some inventory and we could park the vehicle there, and that's the plan down the road. But right now, because I drive it all the time, so I keep it in our driveway. But I have to move, it around on the weekend if I'm not going anywhere with the van. So I move it and I swap places with the truck that I drive. And they're always, hey, can we ride with you when you're moving around? Yeah. And or I'm like, hey, I'm going to come pick you up from school in the van. And they're like, the older ones, the high schooler and middle schooler are like, no, can you not? And I'm like, but and I'm like, but it's marketing, like every time my vehicle's out. And it's funny because you had mentioned when we were kind of connecting about this, you had mentioned, I saw your vehicle down in Fort Thomas. And so it's just one of those things where, hey, if I'm out, like the kids know, like, oh, dad during the week always drives the van because people can see it. And then they might reach out because they want their floors refinished. So, so just incorporating them in and I think the other side too is just having normal conversations about things. I think a lot of kids unless their parent is in a role, I had a customer we did work for, and I said, "Oh, what does your husband do?" And just in conversation as we were doing the quote, and she said, "Oh, he works, at Right Pat." But that's about as much as I know. So unless you're doing something that's like government, top secret or whatever, there's a lot of kids out there who just have no idea what their parents do.
Yeah.
And just kind of helping them walk them along that way. This is what we do, and this is why we do it is really helpful.
That's funny. My kids, so my previous role before doing Pinks, I was a chief operating officer in an aerospace company.
Okay.
And my kids would have had no idea how to describe what I was doing for. They knew that I got on a plane every few weeks. I flew up to Toronto, was gone for a week, and flew back. And that's probably about it. And that, maybe able to describe the building that I worked out of. But when it came to the actual work, they had no clue. They could definitely go to their friends at school and tell them my dad washes windows and share that with them.
And they're like, oh. And so I have to fight that sometimes where I'm like, oh, we fix floors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's even like how are their friends going to think about my role? Are they going to look down upon them because they think it's like less than? So, and that's where it's like, I think for what we're doing now with being in the trades, there's just this resurgence of that. And there's just so many opportunities. And really kind of one of our things was, hey, what does it look like for us to have a portfolio of these home service businesses? So I'm constantly hearing from people, when I go in, they're like, oh, do you also clean carpet? I'm like, no, we don't do that. But I'm logging all that, right? Because I'm going, okay, what are those other things? And we're, next 5-10 years, there's so many of these kind of trade home service businesses where people are going to want to retire.
Yeah.
And there's no one there to buy these businesses. So do we start buying businesses down the road and incorporating them in, and they just all work together and we build out? Each kid can have one of those businesses down the road, or what does that look like? So I think that's kind of the idea too, is that was driving us to kind of move in this direction as well. As a part of this is, how do we build this, but then as well start acquiring or building some other things along the way.
Yeah. I definitely sympathize with that. When I was looking at, I wanted to buy kind of a mom and pop business is what I kind of had in my head, was never interested in franchises. I never did a franchise search, but I got an email one day of Pinks with all the marketing in there and was like, this looks really cool. And I flipped it over to my wife and was like, what do you think? Like, should I have a conversation about this? And then it was like green flag after green flag of just like positive things that were coming up with Pinks. And my wife and I always said, it's so hard to find good people to come into your house. And when you do, it's like, we'd open our wallets to these people because it's so hard to find good home services people. And so I saw Pinks. We'd always said that. And I was like, maybe this is an opportunity to kind of like put my money where my mouth is. Cause I think, to your point, home services is seeing such a resurgence. People are like really investing a lot of time and attention to grow them. And it's hard to find good people. Yeah. If you can be that, and you just keep going, it seems like you can really just make a killing and do well.
Yeah. Yeah. If you respond to people when they reach out and you show up on time and you have conversations with them, they really respond well to that. I don't know how many times I've had people tell me, the job we're doing tomorrow, they were also trying to get their cabinets redone. And he said, I called 4 and only 1 called me back.
Yeah.
And so it's just that reminder of, hey, for us, customer service is huge because people can't find good help. I mean, the franchise attorney I used, he said, listen, I need our driveway. We're down in the Hyde Park, Oakley area. And he said, our driveway needs to be replaced. And I have $20,000 just ready to spend.
Yeah.
I called 4, 1 called me back, showed up, said he couldn't even do it. I'm trying to figure out who wants I'm literally going to pay you. Like, I have money ready. So it's just a good reminder on, as I talk to flooring competitors, like, it's pretty interesting in Cincinnati because I have not met a competitor yet who's actually super competitive with me. They're actually like, hey, let's see how we can refer business to each other.
Yeah.
And they continually tell me, if you just return calls and you show up on time, like, you're going to kill it. Like, it's just, it will work because so many people don't respond and don't call people back, which is shocking to me in the service business. Yeah.
Did that concrete business for your attorney make it on your short list of businesses to look at one day?
That's probably one I will probably avoid. Kind of the home service trades outside of the home is probably one we'll try to avoid. You never know. Unless my son's like, I really want to do concrete. And it's like, okay, maybe. But not for me right now. That's the only one who's mentioned that. But I carpet quite a few times, so we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Yeah.
You talked a little bit about the van, being in home services, driving it around, maybe perception of it. Have you struggled with any of that, of being like, oh, I'm driving this van, or any perception, ego involved in that?
Oh yeah. That's something for me. I've always wanted to look the part, and what people think about me, which is a struggle. And so it's helped with my humility. Just a reminder of, hey, this is a way that I'm providing for my family. And I think that's been good for me as well, because at the end of the day, most people don't care about you in the sense of, like, they don't care what you're doing really. And we probably have a higher view of ourselves than other people.
Yeah.
So it's just a good reminder for me of, okay, it doesn't really matter. Number one, I'm the most critical of myself more than anyone else will ever be. And there's a lot of, I've had a lot of people say, oh man, I wish I could do what you're doing.
Mm.
And there's something to that where it's like, okay, I'm actually the one who took the step to do it. And the amount of people I've talked to who are in corporate, who are really successful and doing well, but they're just burning out. And I'm like, and you could literally start a side hustle doing this right now, what you're doing, but do it for yourself. And you could make a killing doing that. You should do that. And they're like, well, it's just risky. And I'm like, listen, I get it. I understand. And not everyone has a risk tolerance to do this, but you could set yourself up well for the future where you have a great work-life balance.
Yeah.
And it's usually coming out of conversations where like, well, I had to do some work on Saturday. I had to do some work on Sunday. And it's like, that's great, but that's for a paycheck. It's one thing if I'm doing it on a Saturday, or I try to avoid doing anything on Sunday related to it. If a lead comes in, I wait till Monday morning to call him back. But it's one of those things where I'm like, man, like you're literally trading your time away from your kids for something that's not going to long-term benefit you down the road.
Yeah.
And what does that look like to do that for yourself? So yeah, there's been times where I'm like, I'm driving this, and what is that person I'm parked next to at a stoplight think of me? And just go, all right, we're just gonna keep going, and I'm gonna push that to the back and just keep one step forward at a time.
Yeah, I thought I would struggle with that a little bit more because we wear uniforms that are very like distinct with the hat, the shirt, the pants, the shoes, the whole thing. And I thought, the first time I put it on, I was like, okay, I haven't worn a uniform since I had a job in high school, 10, 15 years ago. And so navigating that it came a little bit easier. I mean, to your point, I'm shocked at the amount of people who send me messages on Instagram, messages on LinkedIn, like, I am rooting for you. I can't, like, I wish I had the guts to go do some of those things. Or, now you've made me think, like, I've always kind of had this in the back of my mind, and maybe I should kind of take that leap. So it's really cool that you've got some of these people who are out there, cheering you on, thinking, oh, they think this is cool, because it is cool.
Yeah. And then when people see the transformation of what you're doing, they're like, wow, that's incredible that you can actually do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes from like, man, people put the worst products down on their floors thinking they're doing something great. And it's products that are selling millions of dollars worth a year, and people are using it to get some more shine, to clean it up. And they're literally just making it worse long-term. And then you need someone like Scott. So I'm always like, well, don't use those products, but those products are also going to keep us in business long term. So so it's pretty interesting. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, and it's so fulfilling seeing your work. I mean, when we clean a window that's like dirty and then you look at it afterwards, like I've had my fair share of slide decks I've built back in the day that look pretty good when I'm done, that I thought, but there's still something pretty satisfying about doing work with your hands and seeing it at the end being like, wow, we did that, and this house looks better because of it.
Yeah. And there were many days where, when I was in the previous company, where I was like, man, I just want to go out and do something physical.
Yeah.
And that's for me where I said, okay, in a couple of years, a year, 2 years down the road, I won't be on every job, and I might not be on any jobs, but I have the freedom to go, okay, I don't want to go to another networking, or I don't want to go to another meal right now. That Tuesday we have a job, near my house.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in on that job and just do that job that day with the crew that's going out, and just remind myself of why we started this. And so I have that freedom and that ability to do that. And I can, that's something I'm looking forward to as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Shifting gears a little bit, like your kids are watching what you're doing. You're talking to your kids about this. You have hopes of perhaps passing this to them one day, something they could run. What do you hope they're seeing? What do you hope they're getting out of it, watching you go through this?
Yeah. Hard work.
Yeah.
The amount of work it takes, the sacrifice of doing something for them where they go, oh, dad loves us enough. He's willing to sacrifice some other ways for us long-term to see that. But really, that's something where I think no matter what they do, one day, work at it as hard as you can for the glory of God and for the good of your neighbor, and do things well. And so that's where I'm hoping they watch this on, hey, we can do things well no matter what we do. With my freshman in high school, she's changed quite a few times what she wants to do with her life, which is fine.
Same.
And yeah. Me too. I did too. I'll be 42 this next month, and my career has looked very different over the last 20 years, and so for them, just go, and I try to be cautious of like, hey, what do you want to do? I'll ask it in a joking way, and just to kind of see where their mind is at that age or whatever, and just kind of track and just kind of say, okay, this is where they were, this is where they're going. But Really just for them to understand, hey, things, right now are easy for you. They feel hard.
Yeah.
Every stage of life you're currently in feels like the hardest because it is, because you've never faced those things before. And things are really handed to you right now in life, and they're easier in school, and you got to move throughout life and you got to accomplish some things. But it takes hard work to be successful. And whether you are an employee, whether you're a boss, or whether you own your own thing, there's a lot of work involved. And so how can you do that for the good of your family? And so that's what I'm hoping they're seeing right now as we go through this process.
I love to hear that. And I feel the same way about my kids and wanting them to see the hard work. I always, I was that entrepreneur for years. Like, I want to own a business. I want to do that, but was too scared to make the leap. And then I had kids, they start to grow up. They're still young. So I'm not, missing too much being busy with this, but I thought I have to go chase my dreams. If I'm ever going to tell my kids, do the hard thing, go chase your dreams, take the risk, I have to do it. Yeah. And it was like, okay, I have to go find the business to buy, find the business to start, and go with it, because it'll just be such a great example. And even if I fail, I did it. I tried it. I don't want to regret it in 60 years. I want to tell my kids, hey, you might fail, you might stumble along the way, but the lessons learned will be worth it. Sometimes might be painful, but they'll be worth it.
Well, and that for me, it was, I had done it at one point, and the freedom we had in some ways where, hey, in an afternoon, if I wanted to go hang out with my kids or go do something, I would go do it. Going back into a corporate situation where it was like, oh, I got to talk to my boss now. And like, it's just not an option for me to do that. Was really hard. That was probably, that year and a half was probably the hardest year and a half of my career wise, just because of just feeling like I was being held back in some ways. And so for me, it was a lot easier to jump back in because I'd done it before, where I can see a lot of people out there, if they've been in corporate their whole career, the risk, right? Yeah. We have our mortgage, we have our savings we're building, we have the vacations we go on, and all those things to go, we're going to pivot, and there's a risk that it could all fall apart. Is scary. And it still wasn't like, oh, it was just easy for us. There was a lot of things we had to work through and go, okay, this is it. We're going to do it. And my wife is really stable along the way for me, where I'm the one who high and low. And she just kind of even keel with me and just kind of keeps me sane and stable. When I start to react, she's the calm voice that just kind of walks through it, which is funny because she was an accountant. And that was kind of her lifestyle, her career before we had kids. So she definitely keeps me in a good place where I can go up and down emotional wise based on what's happening with the business or life or anything like that. So
that's so funny. My wife used to be an accountant, still works for an accounting firm. It's the same way. Super even, doesn't get rattled. I'm like the one who's like this. Oh yeah, with everything. Yeah.
Well, it's like, oh, what are we gonna do? We're gonna run out of money. It's all those things where you just go down these kind of paths that aren't reality. Yeah. But it's the what ifs. Yeah. And that's been my whole life though. I've always been a what if person. But it came back to, what if I don't do this? Yeah. And then I get to the end of life and I missed out on it. We did it one time. Why didn't we try to do it again? And what does that look like? And just the fun of building something. That's where kind of drove me back to this.
So you're in the thick of it now, just getting going month, two. So you, how do you find balance in that time? Because it's tough when you're just getting going.
Yeah, it's the balance hasn't been really hard at this point because things are pretty similar along the way from the beginning to where we're building. Now as we continue to go, especially in a secondary role for someone bringing them on, that's where my stress is kind of increased. And how do I find those other people that can help me? Because I don't really have full-time work for anyone else. We're not doing jobs every day. Yep. And it's a more expensive thing to bring us in to have, and in comparison, it's cheaper, but it's not just something, and it's floors, right? Where it's some of these people have lived on these floors for a long time. So for them to spend, a good chunk of money, is going, well, we can put that off a little bit, and finding the urgency with people to get that. So, but really for me, finding the balance is, hey, just at the end of the day, I have to be done. And it's going to be there tomorrow. If someone reaches out, if a lead comes in, depending on the time, if it's late, I'm going to call them back in the morning anyways. But it's hard to not want to just jump, right? The phone dings. I got to respond to this.
Yeah.
An email comes in. I should check it. I'm really bad at checking my email all the time. I remember a couple weeks ago, my wife said, you do realize that email will still be there in the morning and it's like 10 p.m. at night. Like you don't like you're not even going to respond tonight anyways. And now you're just going to think about it all night. And you might, depending on what it is, it's really going to frustrate you. So just finding the balance of, okay, I'm going to stop and this will be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
That for me is a good reminder on, hey, God is faithful. Why would my business fall apart overnight? Because I'm not going to stay up. I can go sleep. I can rest easy knowing, hey, tomorrow's another day. We get to start all over again. So that's for me, that the balance of, and also reminding myself, I have a 14-year-old freshman in high school. She's got a few more years in our home and then she's gone. And I continue to see, you're on LinkedIn, you see the stats of, oh, once your child reaches this age, they've lived more than half their life with you, that they're going to live with you. And it's like, oh man, like, why do I have to read those things? Like, I don't want to see those things. So for me, it's just reminding myself like, hey, how do I be in the moment, present, which is really hard for me because I can be physically present and mentally gone.
Yeah.
And that's real convicting for me when I look back on those moments and go, man, I have missed so many moments. For what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was thinking what I could say or what I should say tomorrow when I'm around that person. Like, man, I missed my child who wanted to read a book to me.
Yeah.
Or go throw the football around. Yesterday, I was real happy. I'm watching my favorite NFL team play. It's coming up to halftime. And like, I don't need to watch anything related to halftime. And my son, who's 10, is like, hey, can we go out during halftime and throw the football around? I said, yeah, I'll set a timer on my phone for the amount that halftime is. And we'll go and do it. And we did. And it was like, and I burned him out, right? I just like, he was running. He was like, all right, I'm just going to sprint and you throw the ball to me. And we got to the point where the timer went off and he was like, I got to go back in. I was like, perfect. So it was just, how do you take advantage, even in those moments, right? It wasn't work related, but it was something I really enjoy watching. Yeah. And how do I step away from that to value him and the time I can have with him? It's just doing those little things. And I just think back to all the times I've missed because I was so focused on the wrong things at the wrong time, as opposed to thinking about the right things at the right time.
Yeah. That is something I definitely struggle with.
Yeah.
I mean, my phone's dinging all the time. I'm more addicted to my phone now than ever because I'm like, oh, are we getting leads? Are we getting customer feedback? If a customer feedback comes in that's not great, it's like a knife in my chest. I mean, I take this business so personally, more personal than I've taken anything before. So it's like, we want to deliver the best service ever and things are going to happen. And I'm like coming to terms with that. It's like whenever you step into someone's home, whenever you do, any sort of work, you could, you could miss the mark, but it's how you recover that's important. But one time my daughter was like, you're always on your phone, or she made a comment, something offhanded like that. And it was just like, that's exactly what you don't want. That's exactly what I want to be a business owner so that I could spend more time with my kids, separate from work more. And it's like, I feel like I'm giving that up a little bit right now, working a little harder now so that at some point I can be at all the sporting events. I can be at all the activities, but it's a tough balance because everything's right there. Everything's on your phone. I can run 90% of my business from my phone.
Everything we run through a single app for all customer communication, leads, invoicing, communication, like everything on that app. And so like I can check that app even when there's not dings. Yeah. And like for what? I don't know. Like I don't know why I'm even checking it. But it's real easy just to get distracted and just kind of miss opportunities you're right there on. And then when I do it to my wife, even after the kids are in bed, like it's one of those things where it's like, man, this is my most important relationship I have with my wife. And I can push that aside as well because I'm pushing something forward, right? Well, it's for the family. I don't know how many times my wife has said, can you not use the excuse anymore of, well, it's benefiting our family. Yeah. She's like, yeah, maybe, but maybe not. Where what will benefit our family is you being present. Yeah. And it's real easy to be physical. And I think there's probably a lot of people out there, a lesson that a lot of people could learn is it's real easy to be physically present and mentally absent. Yeah. And not engaged, right? Where you look like you're there, you're at your child's sporting event, but you're not present. Yeah. You're not enjoying it. And just trying to enjoy moments. And that's for me, just trying to enjoy every moment I'm in and be present is whether that's running or looking out the back window, as deer might walk through or whatever, having a cup of coffee in the morning, just taking that in, just enjoying that moment. Or when I get home and we have 2 dogs, like the border collie, like I got him a few years back and he's my dog and he gets so excited. Like he will bypass the kids to get to me. And he's just so excited. And for me just to walk in, it's just the little things like that. Like I just brush past him.
Yeah.
And he's been like, I've been here all day waiting for, like, I'm waiting at the door for you. And just brush past him. And I know it's a dog, but at the same time, it's like, oh, just take that moment. And all he wanted me to do was just pet him.
Yeah.
Just engage him. And then like even the bigger side, then when I come home and my kids want to engage with me and I bypass them, that's even worse.
Yeah.
And I do, hey, I just have to run downstairs real quick and send this email. And it's like, well, I can send an email later. I can do that later. And it's real hard to push that off because it just sits in the forefront of my mind because I can't separate that sometimes. So being present is really important. And something I'm not good at all the time.
Yeah, that dog example really hits home.
Yeah.
So I've got a dog named Monkey. He's been with us for almost 9 years now. And he, I said to my wife, it might've been a couple months ago, I was like, have either of us even said hi to Monkey today? Like, have we even acknowledged him? And he's just always right there with us. He's always just moving around, but we're so busy with the kids and a 4-month-old. And it's like, does anyone acknowledge him? And it's little moments of being present like that. I love that you say that because it's just like, you know, hit a chord. I'm like, I forgot we had that conversation.
And, you know, and people say, you know, things like, you know, that dog is only, 10 years of your life, but you are its whole life, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and I know some people are like, it's just a dog. But then like at the same time, like, man, we had a dog that, ended up having a brain tumor and had to be put down. And I just remember how hard that was for our whole family, my kids.
Yeah.
And I said, I will never get another dog again. And then we have 2 now. And so it's just, animals are a good reminder of they are so loyal, especially dogs. And you can ignore them. Yeah. You can be rude to them and they will just come back to you because they love you. And it's a good reminder on, okay, let me be present, not just with them, but the family. And how do I acknowledge them and take moments just to embrace them or just talk with them, just see how their day was. Yeah. And there's many times where my wife has to go, hey, she's still talking to you. Yeah. Like she's still sharing a story with you when I pull out my phone. I'm like, what? Yeah. You're right. What am I doing? Like, and literally one of my daughters is like telling me a story and I've just mentally moved on. I'm like, that's terrible. Like, So
I think there's a lot of guys, fathers, husbands out there who are facing some of these similar challenges. What advice might you have, or maybe even underscore some of what you've shared here?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, your business might fail, your job might fail, but you're coming home to that same wife, coming home to those same kids, and those are the most important relationships you have here on earth. Those employees you work with, they're great. I was never the last job I was at, like there were a lot of younger people working in the company, and they would hang out outside of work. And I was like, that's not me. Like I have a family. Like I like you guys, but like at the end of the day, like I'm not going to hang out with you after this. I'm going home to my family, sports, whatever. And I think just reminding yourself, like, don't miss the moments with them. Yeah. For something that's momentary with a job. You can tell your boss no if it's going to impede on something. I know there's give and take at times, right? There's things you got to do. Like if your job requires a lot of travel, you got to do that. If you don't like it, then you should get a different job. Yeah. Like you took on that role. And that's where sometimes I'm like, well, was that kind of in that? Like I got real frustrated at one of the aspects of my job. Previously, my wife was like, well, did they tell you that was part of the job? And I was like, well, yeah. And she was like, okay, then you can't be frustrated about it. Like you knew that. And I was like, well, you're right. But, and so that's where I would tell someone like, hey, listen, if you're really frustrated about all the travel because you're in a sales role that requires that, like, then you probably need to find another job. Like they're not going to change. Like that's what that job requires. So, if you're missing opportunities with your family, like you can find something else. And if that means taking a lesser paying job, maybe that's what you need to do at this time of life. Because you can work your whole life, but you only have so much time with your wife and kids. And at the end of the day, your kids are going to move out one day. Your wife isn't. Yeah. Well, she shouldn't. But there's just so many people who, the kids move out. The family has become so focused on the kids, where the kids move out, and now you have a husband and wife who are sitting. And there's so many people who end up separating after 6 months or a year after the last kid leaves because they don't know each other anymore. I mean, 17 years. I'm a completely, in a lot of ways, different person than I was when we were dating and got married, and same with my wife. And so if we're not continually building that relationship together, we're going to get to the end and not know each other. We're strangers. And so for me, she is someone who like is my best friend. Like I want to be with her over other people. There's times where she's like, you need to go hang out with some friends. Like you need, like, not that I love being around you, but like you should have friends, like go with them. And so it's real easy for me to be like, hey, let's just hang out tonight. Let's just, kids will go to bed. Let's watch a movie. Let's do something intentional together where we can just enjoy our time together. And I think that's what I would encourage guys. Like, success is fleeting.
Yeah.
Man, the world loves you, but I think often, like, how many names are really remembered throughout history?
Yeah.
None of us are going to do anything that massive that my name is going to be remembered probably past my grandkids.
Yeah.
And my grandkids are only going to know me as grandpa or whatever. And so they're not even going to know my full name probably, you know, they will. But the reality is, like, we strive to build a name for ourselves for what? Like, we're going to remember Elon Musk. That's one guy.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs, right? Inventing the iPhone. Like, but like, there's only George Washington. There's only so many people you can remember over time that really did something, and it's because they did one thing that you remember them for. And it's not even like, and it's not like these men are the most amazing men either. It's just because they did something instrumental in a moment of time. So I just think we focus on all the wrong things sometimes, believing they're the right things.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know, you hear stories about guys who made a lot of money, and then they're like, all right, I'm going to take all my kids and their spouses on this world vacation. The kids are like, I don't even know who you are. We don't want to go on this trip with you. And it's like, you literally did all that because you thought one day we're going to do these things, when all your kids wanted was you to throw the football with them. They just wanted you to read a book with them. They don't need all the things. They want you. And how do we do that? And I'm not the perfect example of that. I'm striving every day to remind myself, man, you're an idiot. You got to do that better. But that's what our kids want. Like, at the end of the day, they say they want an iPhone. They say they want the things. But at the end of the day, they want you. And if you're not with them and present, then they don't even know who you are. And so how do we become the men that they want to, you know, for our sons? How do we become men who our sons want to be like? And how do we become men who our daughters want to marry men like that? And I think that's a big thing. And it starts with, you have to be that first before they can ever attain or think that's what they want in their life for them.
Yeah. You've dropped a lot of nuggets of wisdom here today. This has been gold. As we kind of wrap up, are there any kind of final thoughts, final things that you were, you know, hoping to, or we didn't finish on, or hoping to get out there?
No, I mean, I think for me, it's just a reminder every single day to move forward. I recently, about a month ago, finished an ultra marathon, and I can just remember, surprisingly for me, and I'm not like, I don't run super fast marathons. I've run 3 marathons or whatever. And it was just, I want to try longer distance, right? It was a 50K. So 31.3 miles is what I did. But I think some of the best lessons came out of that because it was a trail ultra marathon. And a lot of the time I was by myself in the woods and just going. And there was moments where my right knee wanted to lock up and I just had to keep going. And there was guys right before we started who had run some. And I turned right before and I said, last minute piece of advice as we go. I've never done this. And they said, just keep moving. Even if you walk, just keep moving. And for me, I think that was a great example of, as I went, it reminded me I can always go farther than I thought I could. And for me in business, it's, hey, you're not done. You can go farther. Like, this isn't it. And then with my family, like, hey, you can do better with your kids. You can do better with your wife. You can lead them better. And be a better example on it. So I think for me, it was a good lesson to learn on, you know, for me, endurance things are good because it pushes me mentally and physically to realize I can go farther, which goes into every other aspect of my life. And so I don't know, just kind of that. I don't know why completely I shared that. It was more of like, I realized a lot about a month ago, like, I can go farther because you finish a marathon, right? 26.2 miles. And you're like, I'm never doing that again. And then you it's like, I know my wife, like, typically I've heard from a lot of women, it's like right after you have a baby, they're like, oh, I'm never doing this again. And then, you know, as things, you know, wear off, they go, oh, I want to have another baby, right? It's like the pain is just completely gone. You forget that. And it's the same with this, where you can endure, you can go on, you can push forward. And I think there's so many people out there, they think they've reached their limit in a lot of ways. And it's like, no, you got more. Like, you can do this. And whether you like David Goggins or not, you know, he's an extreme case or whatever, but he always, you know, talks about that. You can always go farther. And that really is true. Like, you can keep going. And so just encouragement to people on, like, hey, when you think you've reached your limit, like, you're not there. You can keep going. You can push yourself harder than you thought you could and go farther. And it just, sometimes you just need someone there to cheer you on as a good reminder. And so, just leave you with that.
Awesome. Hey, well, thank you so much for being here today. This has been a really interesting conversation. I really enjoyed it. Had a good time learning a lot about you, and you've shared a lot of really cool things. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and
Yeah.
excited to continue to watch the
Yeah.
journey of Pinks. And I remember it was probably about a year ago or longer, maybe, when I kind of had a similar situation. Saw Pinks, I thought, man, that would be incredible. Like that's just such a cool concept, and just the whole branding and just all that or whatever. So excited to see what how this is going to continue to go and what God is going to do through this whole business for you as well.
I appreciate that, man. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go
Yeah.
get back to my business now.
There you go.
Got some stuff to take care of. Thanks again
Yeah.
for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much.